Welcome guys to another tutorial. In this Geometry Dash Editor tutorial, what we're going to be doing is, in case you've played the tower levels, you might have seen something super duper sneaky. So if you start, there are these falling boxes, and how exactly do you do these things? Well, today we're going to figure out, and in fact these guys actually go up again after you click on them. So yeah, we're going to do that right now in the editor, and as always my tutorials are always super duper beginner friendly, so everybody could follow along and nobody falls behind. So smash that subscribe and also like, and let's just get started. So the very first thing you want to do is actually make your level a platformer level like so, and then let's just use these two simple blocks. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. So I'm just making like a pit over here. I'm going to add a start position up there, and yeah, if you now play, you're going to see that your icon starts up there. So cool. Now we want to have this one go down once you land on it. How do we exactly do that? Well, let's first make this block just go down, because that's a very important thing. So you want to select your thing and then go to edit group and then next tree and then add. What this is going to do is assign a new group ID to that specific block. So this time this block has the group ID of 1. So click on OK and then go to the triggers, add a move trigger. This allows you to move objects. We're going to do in here. So after you actually put your move trigger, click on edit object, and then under target group ID you just want to have 1. And then you want to move it down. So down is Y, and we want to move it down like that. So now if you click on OK and then start, you're going to see that the block is just going to start falling, which is pretty cool, but that's not exactly what we want. What we want is the block to kind of fall down. And by the way, I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions in a bit, so you better pay attention to this. So yeah, now what we want to do is, we don't want it to instantly fall like that. We actually want it to kind of make like shake, so left and right, and then fall, right? That's the animation that we're looking for. And to do that, we're just going to select this one, move it a bit to the right, and then copy and paste it, and then move that one to here. So now edit object, click that, and now we don't want to move it down, but we want to move it to the right by, let's say, 2. And you can play it and see, you see how the thing went to the right? So that's pretty cool. Now we want it to move to the left. So copy and paste, move right, and then up, edit object, and then -2. And now you guys will see that the thing went kind of right and then left, which doesn't look that cool. And the reason for that is because we want it to move to the right by 1 and then to the left by 2, right? Because we're already too far to the right. So instead of having -2 in here, we're actually going to do -4, because this one was 2. So double that is 4, and to the left is minus. So now you guys saw that this guy went left and right. So we're just going to go ahead and copy and paste these one more time. And it is very important that all of these movements lead the object to be back at its original place. So what this means is, I'm just going to go ahead and move this guy to the right. So now if you play, you guys are going to see that after all of this movement, the block ends up in a different position, which is not correct. So what you want to do is calculate. So +2 -4 is -2. +2 is 0, and then -4 is gonna be -4. So what we want to do is we want to add 2, I believe. So now, or we can actually just completely get rid of this, because this one adds 2, this one adds 2, and this one subtracts 4. So in the end it becomes all zeros. So now select all of them, go to edit object, and then give them a new easing called the bounce in and out. So bounce in out, and click on OK, and now you guys are gonna see that the block is gonna beautifully shake like that. And yeah, we're gonna move this guy back down. Now it is very important to do the timings of this block however you want to do it right now. So we want it to shake and then wait a bit and then fall down. However, you guys see that the falling is, it's not cool looking because it's too linear and it's just not very cool. So what you want to do is select this move trigger that is responsible for making this block go down, then give it a new easing. Now you could choose whatever easing you want. I'm just gonna choose try elastic in, see how that's going to be. So, oh yeah, that one looks cool. Actually, if you move this like that, it's gonna look pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. Or what I like also is bounce, not bounce, back in. Back in, I don't think that's gonna look that cool, but it's actually gonna start going up and then down. You guys are gonna see, look at this. So boom, up and then down. Yeah, not bad, but I think the elastic in just works a bit better. Now, some of these stuff is actually like a lot of easings are similar to one another, but yeah, I like to use this one for that one. So what we're gonna do now is we don't want the block to just fall off just like that. We want it to actually only happen once I land on it, right? So to do that, it's actually very simple. Now we have set our sequence of triggers. However, one very important thing here is that we actually have to make sure that after this whole thing is done, we want the block to be back where it was. So we want it to go down, and then maybe after like 2-3 seconds, we want it to actually go back up, because if somebody just goes like that and then goes back, he will never be able to go across this section because it's impossible and the block is no longer there. So we want it to come back after a bit of time. So to do that, we're actually just going to copy and paste this one and move it to, yeah, maybe here, and then edit object and then just make it go back. So plus 30 instead of minus 30, and then give it, actually in here I could do the back out. I think back out could look pretty cool with a bit of more move time. So now you guys are gonna see that it's gonna shake and then it's gonna go down, and after a few seconds it just goes right up, which looks pretty beautiful. Okay, so now we have made our sequence of stuff, and once you're done doing that and you make sure that your block actually goes back to where it was, so that you can kind of loop this process without any issues, you want to select all of your triggers, right? And then go to edit group and give those triggers a new group ID. And after doing that, you also want to click on edit object and click on spawn trigger and multi trigger. And this sounds a bit complicated, but don't worry. What this is going to do is that these triggers are not simply gonna run as usually. They have to be spawned by a different trigger, and it is in the name, spawn. We have to spawn these triggers. So what this means is that we're gonna add a spawn trigger, and now comes the question. You want to click on edit object. Do you guys know what group ID we should put in here? And if you thought too, you are on it. You are cooking right now. Okay, so these guys have 2, and this one is triggering 2, so we want to make it on touch trigger. So that what this means is that it's going to draw like a cyan rectangle or a square around the trigger, and what this means is that as soon as the player touches this area, it's actually going to start doing something. So you guys can see that nothing is happening, and as soon as I touch it, it's gonna start doing this stuff. However, you guys saw that it didn't really do what I wanted it to do. It kind of went up, which doesn't make that much sense. And the reason for that is because when you use a spawn trigger on these guys, it's actually gonna spawn all of them at the same time. And what it's gonna do is spawn all of these 3 at the same time, and then make it go down slowly, but then make it go up like really fast, which leads to this very weird bug. So to make sure that they go from left to right with the same distance that they have, it's actually very simple. You just click on the spawn trigger and then edit object and then spawn ordered. And what this is going to do is spawn them from left to right. So now if you guys go like that, you guys are going to see that the thing is going to start falling down, and later it's going to come up, which is just perfect, exactly what we want. And now the problem gets to be is that when you leave off and the block actually comes back again, it no longer falls down, which is not that very cool. So to fix that, it's actually also very simple. So you just want to select the spawn trigger and then go to edit object and then give it the multi trigger. And what it's going to do is allow you to touch it multiple times. So perfect, now we can do this. However, one thing you want to do is we want this spawn trigger to also go down with the block, because we want it to be kind of like a part of the block. And by the way, you want to move it in here and also scale it down like that, so that it only happens once you land on the block. And right now you can, I think, like land on right on the edge of the block so that it doesn't spawn the stuff. And yeah, that's why you should be careful and actually kind of make this a bit bigger. Don't make it too small and also not too big, because you don't want it to spawn when you like touch the block from the right or the left. I mean, if you want to, you can just scale it up like that, but I'm just gonna go like this. So we want to give this spawn trigger the same group ID that we gave to this object, which is 1. So we want to select this one, edit group, and then 1. And what it's going to do is make this spawn trigger follow the movements of 1, which is basically exactly what we want. So perfect. Now we have this guy, which is awesome. So now how do we do the second one? Now you could just copy and paste this entire process, but that's much harder and is very inefficient, very unoptimized, and could also lead to a bunch of issues when you want to modify these movements. So what we're gonna do, it is very simple, so it's worth checking it out. So what I would do first is let's actually add a bit of particles that we're gonna spawn once you land on here, just so you guys know exactly how to do that as well. So we're gonna add particles, and then we're gonna go to edit special. This sounds scary over here, but don't worry, I have a full tutorial on how to actually use this system. But we're just gonna go ahead and make the angle plus minus a bit like that. We're gonna bring the gravity Y also a bit down. The speed has to go up like so, and the gravity is gonna go down. Speed plus minus, let's have it a bit down, and then we want to click on max. What I was gonna do is just spawn all of these at once, and we're gonna bring the duration to 0, so like that. And now all of them are going to spawn like so. Now we want to bring this one also like that, so that it feels like the block is actually kind of landing, and a bit more this and extra, a bit more friction for the position, a bit more speed, yeah, like that sounds cool. And now what we're gonna do is go to extra and also animate on trigger. This is very important. So now the thing is actually invisible. Click F4 on PC to reveal that, very big secret. Or if you're on phone, go over here and hide particle icons. Just enable or disable that, and it's gonna either show this guy or disable it. So pretty cool. Now you want to place this at the exact same spot where the block would land. So if you click on here and then OK, you're actually gonna see the effect right here. So you're gonna do that and then see where the perfect position would be. I would say something like that. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And now what we want to do is we want to basically spawn those particles, or we want to animate it because we made it animate on trigger. So it is very simple to do that. We just want to check where exactly the block falls. And I would say if in here it shakes and then it falls down, probably in here is, or rather in here is where it basically lands on the spot where we want to spawn these guys. So you want to use an animate trigger to animate this one, and you want to give these particles over here edit group a new group ID. So let's say we give them 3. Then you want to go to the animate edit object, you want to input in here 3, and finally what you want to do is give this animate trigger the same group ID as all of these guys, because that's where we want to spawn it. So you want to do 2 over here to this animate trigger, and also go to edit object and make it spawn and multi-active so that it works with the spawn trigger. And now you guys will see that if I click on there, it's going to fall down, and the particles are a bit too early, so I'm just going to go ahead and move it like that perhaps and see how that's going to go. So like that. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. So yeah, what you can also do is add, you know, one of these animations if you want to. So you could add these guys and maybe kind of copy and paste them like so. And then all you have to do is simply edit special and then animate on trigger, which is pretty cool. And also you want to give them the same group ID as the particle itself so that they kind of get animated as well. So it's 3. So we're going to do 3. Select both of them and give them the group ID of 3. Place them down here. And now you guys will see that if this guy falls down, it's actually going to start animating, which is just phenomenal. I'm just going to move this a bit to the right because I think it is the timing. Yeah. Oh my God, that actually looked pretty good. Oh my God. I never thought I would create such a beautiful animation on a, you know, super basic step-for-step tutorial, but here we are. Okay, so perfect. Now it's time to actually make the second block also fall. And to do that, it's at first might sound a bit complicated, but once you get it, it is so nice to know, and it's so good for optimizations and everything. So you want to select the second box, edit group ID, and give it a new group ID. Let's say 4. And now you want to quit and copy this spawn trigger. Now you want to move it like that, and then you want to move it down. So now you guys are going to see that if I do this, it's actually going to do some weird stuff. And even if I touch this one, what's going to happen is that the other one is going to fall. So how do we make this specific block fall instead of these guys without having to copy and paste those guys? Well, we have to use the remapping system. And to do that, what you have to do is select this block, make sure it has a new group ID like 4, and then click on the spawn trigger, select it, and then edit object, and then go to the right. And what this is going to do is reveal the new menu in which you want to input your original ID and new ID. And now what this stands for is what is the original group ID that you want to copy from. So in this case, it's going to be 1, right? Because this block has, this box has 1 as the group ID. And the new one has 4. So we want to select this one and then click 1 and then 4. So we don't want it to be 1. Instead, we want it to be 4, right? And what this is basically going to do is run these triggers, but everywhere it uses the number 1, it's actually going to change that to the number that we have in here, which is 4. Exactly what we want. So now you guys will see that if I click on this one, it's actually going to start falling down instead of the other one falling down, which is just perfect. Exactly what we want. However, still a bunch of issues here and there. And first of all, you also want to make sure that your spawn trigger has the same group ID as the block itself. So this one has 4, so we want to go this and make it 4. And move it down again, and we want to copy all of these animations and everything, move them to here, and then edit group, and then give those guys a new group ID. And now if you guys know what to do, you guys are fully booked when it comes to intelligence. So you want to select your spawn trigger, edit object, and check in on what the original ID is and what the new ID is. So the original ID that we animate is 3, right? 3 is this one, the one that we animate. And the new one are these guys, which is 5. So we want to go onto the spawn trigger 3 and 5. So now it's going to take 3 and actually assign 5 to it, which is perfect. And now we are done. You guys have seen that that beautiful effect is also looking pretty cool, right? Alright, and just to make this look a bit better, you can move these up, these guys, but do not move them like that. If you do this, it's gonna break because, you know, we have set the distance and now it's a different distance, so it's actually gonna go up a lot faster. Also, you can modify this as you wish. I'm just gonna do this and just move them up. You can move them all to the left and right, but not individually because it's gonna break a bunch of things. So just move them like that. And if you want to, you can just place them like back here where pretty much nothing is going to be seen in normal mode. So yeah, now what you want to do is also add a bunch of, let's actually make this a robot. So you want to start as a robot, and we're going to add this one like so perhaps, and add a bunch of spikes on here exactly like so. And we're going to copy and paste this and move it up like that. And also I'm going to show you guys how you can start your level wherever you want, only in platformer mode. So to do that, you want to select any object you want. Just make sure it's not like a saw blade or a spike. So let's just select, for example, I don't know, you can select this one, click it on here, and edit object, give it a new group ID, let's say 6, and then click on OK, click on the settings, and then settings again, and then in here you want to just put the ID of 6, and what it's going to do is just spawn you right there, which is just perfect. And this is a bit too hard for beginners, so I'm just going to do something like that. All right, now we have done it. Let's flip and go. So let's just give it a try in normal mode and see how it's going to look like. We have made full-on animations with this stuff. Look at it. So this guy is gonna fall and it's gonna play a bunch of animations, and then it's gonna go straight up, which is very, very nice looking. So yeah, that's it. Don't forget to slap that like as the level is telling you. And I just uploaded the level if you want to check it out. So yeah, make sure to slap that like, subscribe, and also watch the playlist that is on the screen right now. It is very helpful. It has a lot of tutorials so that you get more comfortable with the Geometry Dash editor. And don't hesitate to rewatch this video if you feel like you need to. And I will see you guys in the next tutorial.